Welcome to Geer Talk.
Talking gear.
Brandon, we're back. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
We missed January. We took a little hiatus. We're back. It's February. We're talking about Shure. How are you feeling?
Pretty good.
I see you've been promoted to our Chief Financial Officer.
Excellent.
That's actually a great role for you. You're sort of my unofficial Chief Financial Officer in my personal life.
Perfect.
We're very happy to be joined in studio today. I think he's hanging out in the green room. Matt Forgey from Shure will be hanging out with us in just a little bit. Matt is one of our favorite guests. He's getting his punch card filled up soon. I think this is his second appearance. We're going to be talking to Matt more about all the advanced features in SLXD Plus. We're very excited about that. Here is SLXD Plus. Yeah, thanks. Jose, check us out here. We've got a new single channel, a new dual channel. We've got the quad. We've got all sorts of new transmitters. Oh, there's a portable receiver, the SLXD5. So we're going to be diving deep into SLXD Plus in just a few minutes. But first, Brandon, let's talk about how we got here. We wanted to take you through a little bit of Shure history. I went and I thought SLX analog started this journey. When did SLX get introduced? And I went to our friends, our new AI-empowered search engines, and thought, I'll get a quick answer here. And Jose, let's pull this up. SLX was introduced in the mid-2000s, was the best the internet could do. And so I went to our trusted Shure historian, Michael Pedersen. And gosh, Michael, thank you so much, because he has a fun rundown here. Here was 2002 ULX 9-volt batteries. And then in 2004, the SLX series was introduced. Now you can use AA's. How nice is that? You can do frequency scanning directly from your receiver. It's got predicted diversity, audio reference companion, and for the first time, IR sync.
Big feature there. The ability to not have to hand tune your radios either way was a big deal, and of course hit UHFR shortly after, and every product since. So,
Brandon, what were you doing? Where were you in 2004? What was going on in Brandon Operchuk's life as you were coordinating wireless microphones?
2004, that's the year I got my master's degree.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not so humble brag.
To show, well, that's what I was doing. I was trying to complete school and be done with school forever.
And done with 9-volt batteries and using AA's and audio reference companion, right? So now we've got analog wireless, and yet, well, everything was analog wireless at that time. Audio reference companion, this innovation from Shure, where instead of just doing a straight 2-to-1 compression, transmitting our RF signal, and then a 1-to-2 expansion on the other side, Shure was referencing, what is the dynamic level of the audio? How much compression do we need to apply or not? Basically improving the dynamic range we could transmit over analog carriers back then.
A compander, expander.
Yeah, we create, marketing. Thanks marketing. We created a new word there, companding. So that was 2004, and SLX was a great system for a long time until we got SLXD in 2020. Right, so we got a good solid 16 years out of SLX until we moved SLX into the digital realm and everything that comes with it. So while audio reference companion was great for an analog system, now we're transmitting ones and zeros.
It needed to go digital because everything that goes digital, our analog space is crowded and shrinking. And really, if you intend to use any number of wireless over any distance, you need to be buying digital product, period.
And back then, 2004 up to through 2010, we had a lot of room in the spectrum to coordinate, right? There was more space. We hadn't started auctioning off big chunks of wireless. So yes, analog took up more space, but you had more space to work with. As the spectrum started shrinking, things got a little more challenging to coordinate analog wireless, and we got an example of this, but you remember what that was like, Brandon.
We lost 700 megahertz, we lost 600 megahertz, and then in the digital realm we lost intermod issues. So it kind of has balanced itself out. Sure's done a good job of sort of rolling with the punches. Hopefully they don't sell or auction anything further though, because we're running out of space.
So here's a good example. I went to scans.shure.com. This is an online scan library. These are folks that have done some scans. You can get these from all over the US, frankly, all over the world. AJ at Geer Tech, he's been doing some scans around some local universities, and he was able to give us some scans for UC San Diego area, Cal Poly Pomona, Cal State Northridge. I've got a scan loaded here that he recently did a couple weeks ago at UCLA.
Boo.
Yep, sorry. Where were you getting your master's, by the way, Brandon?
At USC, of course.
Okay, so we're going to get around to a USC scan soon, but here's an example of the current state of the LA area. And up here in Wireless Workbench, there's these handy kind of banners that go across. So here were the frequency bands for SLX analog wireless. We called them G4 and G5 and H5 and J3, and you can kind of see the ranges they covered. Well, if you were using J3, you're going to have a pretty hard time coordinating anything in that range.
Around here, for sure.
We don't have a lot of open airwaves in general, but even if you could find some open space with SLX analog, you were limited to maybe 3, 4, 5 channels kind of per open TV channel area. So if you needed a small handful of channels of wireless, you could still make it work in the analog world. But boy, did things get a lot better once we moved to digital.
Absolutely. You basically can get 5 channels into the space that you used to get 1 because of the lack of intermod issues.
So that was SLXD, brought us into the digital world, and now 2020 to 2026, we've got SLXD Plus. So we took the same digital wireless platform and made it that much better. So what's the new hardware we're looking at?
Even though it looks like 2 single channels, the top unit is a single channel as you'd expect. The second unit down is a dual receiver that can fit into the half space rack. So you can put them side by side and build yourself a quad, or you can be in a classroom with a wireless belt pack and a wireless handheld. But you're able to get 2 channels in that footprint, and then the bottom unit is the quad. It's got 2 screens, 2 knobs, but you're able to control 2 channels with each. It's part of the cost savings that we don't have quite the same controls that you would have on a ULXD or an Axient unit. But once you're set up and running, you may not need to touch the front of the receiver that often. We found out, or I looked up this morning because I wasn't sure about the single units, but all of the SLXD Plus has bias voltage on the outputs, which is important if you're running active antennas or if you're doing cascading, which the quad in this circumstance is the only one with cascade outputs, but you won't need to use any distro or any power additions to get to active antennas. Big deal there.
And we got one additional receiver, the portable, the SLXD5. So that rounds out the receiver options, and then we've got all the kind of standard mix of transmitters, the plug-on transmitter, the body pack, the handheld, everything kind of works together here in the same family. SLX, well, let's talk about analog to digital. No compatibility there, right? Different RF schemes. If you had some analog components, you can't sync them to your digital, new system.
Right.
But SLXD to SLXD Plus, good news, you do have interoperability there.
If you have a G50 or another banded transmitter of some kind that you would be previously using, the G57 receiver will be able to handle it, and vice versa. If you have an older style receiver and you lose a pack and you need to buy one, you're going to be shipped out a G57 pack, which will be able to complement with the other receiver. Just make sure everything's on the latest firmware, or it won't recognize it.
And then we've got a whole list of new features that we're going to dive into with Matt, but just to talk about what you're getting in SLXD Plus, that wasn't there in SLXD, so we're adding things like audio summing, DFR, wide tuning. We're going to really talk about why that's a benefit. ShowLink E is brand new for SLXD Plus. ShowLink itself is not new for sure, and all the features that come with that. Just another kind of hardware detail on the quad, we can do an RF cascade out, so you can kind of have a couple of quads without using any more antenna distros.
Back to DFR for a moment. Unless you're a Shure fan of olden day, you may not know what the DFR is. It's an automatic feedback destroyer that is pretty revolutionary. It's way in front of, you used to see on the low end a bunch of DBX units that were auto feedback destroyers, and the DFR was the premium solution, usually given to corporate events and things for your lead mic. It's that same algorithm, just now packed into the SLXD family, SLXD Plus family, excuse me. And really what it does is it allows you to kind of set and forget. If you have either less experienced operators or less experienced users, whether it's in a church environment or a school environment where someone just needs to put it on and make it work, the DFR is going to stop temporarily by removing frequencies that might be feeding back. So if I had a lav on and I walked right in front of the speaker and some frequencies take off, the DFR component's actually going to remove those frequencies very, very strategically and very, very surgically, as not to affect the overall audio, so that feedback doesn't stay present. And then over a period of time, if you're not still standing in front of the speaker, it's going to start to release frequencies to give you back a full spectrum.
Since we're diving deep, why don't we use this as an opportunity to bring in Matt. Matt Forgey, Shure Market Development. Thanks so much for joining us. Matt, how are you?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. I'm doing great. It's great to be here.
Thanks for coming back. Why don't we start right there with the DFR? Anything we missed? Anything else we need to know?
Sure. Just a little bit deeper dive into that. As you mentioned, it is a digital feedback reduction algorithm that's built into our system. And what it really is it's got a set of 16 filters that will dynamically adjust based on what's coming into the system and provide you with an amount of feedback reduction that changes as that as that feedback changes in your audio response, in your frequency response. So those filters will adjust, and then, like you said, they will release as needed when your system, when that feedback goes away, and so it will kind of change and move as your show goes along.
It's a robotic engineer built right into the device.
Exactly.
And default is on, always on?
Default is off. Yep.
Okay.
So it will default to off. You will need to turn it on at some point if you want to use it. We leave it up to you to decide whether you want to use that DFR or not.
Have any adverse effect on any other system performance? Latency doesn't change
Nope,
anything
does
like
not
that?
does not increase latency. You may notice, obviously your audio may change a little bit based on what the DFR is doing to it, but no adverse reactions as far as latency or anything like that goes.
It is so nice when Moore's law works for us, right? Mm-hmm. The latency spec improves from SLXD to SLXD plus, and we're adding advanced processing in,
Exactly.
and it's still faster.
Yep.
Makes you happy you live this long.
Yeah. And I think the quad receiver is still less cost than what a single channel of DFR used to be.
Speaking of the quad, audio summing is one of those features that I think it's kind of easy to skate on by. So real quick, first, what is audio summing and how can it be beneficial?
Sure. So audio summing allows you to take multiple channels of wireless and sum them into a single output coming out of your receivers. So you could take your channels of wireless and say you're using a small analog mixer for a breakout room or a school or something like that. You don't have enough channels to accommodate all of your wireless individually. So you can take all of those channels, sum them down into one output, put them into your mixer, and have it work that way for you.
It's also a feature in ULXD, I know, that gets used a lot in those environments where it just needs to hit a single powered speaker or something like that where there's no mixer involved.
Exactly.
How about the lav to the Y cable to the double pack? And then audio sum those two channels out. So if you want to create a redundant frequency.
Sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh,
now we're
am I
getting
breaking
creative.
news for you?
Yeah, that's one way of doing it. Yeah, that's cool. I hadn't thought about that.
All right, let's jump up probably to the headline, which is the wide tuning aspect. So we've had Axion Digital when it launched. It's what Shure calls the G57 band, or the entire remaining what's usable in the UHF spectrum. ULXD, last time we were chatting, ULXD got an update. ULXD is in the G57 band, wide tuning. I'm sensing a theme here. SLXD plus, also in G57.
Exactly. So we're going wide, right, with everything. As you guys alluded to before, as the spectrum shrinks and less space becomes available for us to use for wireless mics, we need to be able to adjust accordingly, and Shure as a company needs to be able to offer you guys products that will make that easier for you, right? So previously we were locked into these segmented chunks throughout the spectrum, G50, H50, and so on, that you had to stay within, that may not always be optimized for the environment or the location that you're working in. So now that we've opened up that tuning to the full G57 range, which is 470 all the way up to 608 megs, you now have that whole 138 meg space available to you to tune to select the frequencies that are going to work best for your location.
Also helps with all of our production partners and people that have to send stuff out on shows.
Exactly.
You no longer have to figure out how to get your gear from a G something space that's friendly to another space that's friendly. Your same inventory can now go across the country and and work the same.
Exactly. That's a huge advantage for people that manage large inventories in either, you know, all across the country in multiple locations. You don't have to have multiple SKUs for different locations based on what the frequency band is. It's now kind of one SKU to rule them all across the entire product line around the country.
Helps inventory as well, because you only have to build one thing, right?
Of course.
And so if we check out Workbench again, so here's an example of just like if we were going to start from scratch. Now we're networked here. I've got my laptop connected in with our 3 SLXD receivers. We've also got a ULXD quad. That's what we're using for our lab mics here, but we're going to kind of ignore the ULXD for a sec, jump into frequency coordination. I'm going to grab that same scan file, which I downloaded from scans.shure.com. I threw it on my desktop. If I want to do, you know, if I'm planning to go work in the UC San Diego area, let me just throw that up. Here's what San Diego looks like. Oh man, I'm not going to know a zip code in San Diego. Well, there's some public safety channels you're going to need to ignore, but we're going to add our frequencies.
You lived in San Diego. You don't remember where you live?
I'm too dyslexic to think about it off the top of my head. If my wife is watching, please add in the chat what our zip code was in our first apartment in 2008. Okay, so we're going to select our frequencies, adjust the SLXD. I think we're good here. Oops. Why can't I say OK? Manually select. This is how easy it is. Or not. Sure, we'll throw a ULXD channel in. And if we say calculate, it's going to run and run and run, and all of a sudden now I've got that one frequency band across the top. Instead of in the old analog world, it was chopped up into multiple bands. I can just hit calculate. It's running through the full UHF spectrum. I'm just going to hit stop because I've already got 62 usable frequencies with SLXD plus.
Wow.
Same, you know, I've got a single channel receiver. It looks the same. It's going to feel the same in your hand as a handheld transmitter or a body pack. But all of a sudden, look at how much more efficient we are. So even as the spectrum gets more and more crowded, now I've got a system that can comfortably get 40, 50 channels on air.
And that's without a high density mode.
Right,
Exactly. That's just the razor sharp efficiency of the radio being able to put 62 online in one environment is very impressive.
So it's easy to like say wide tuning and it's a spec and it's deep down on the sheet and it's got some numbers and all that. That's the effect of what we're talking about here.
Right, exactly. It's just going to make it a lot easier for you to pick the right space to work in, the right TV channel. You're going to get up to about 11 channels of audio of wireless per 6 meg TV station. So, just a lot more flexibility with where you place your mics and IEMs.
Practically speaking, G57, very, very important on a moment-to-moment use case. When you've got SLXD Plus in your hands, Matt, talk to us about ShowLink Ease.
Right. So this is one of the big updates with the Plus is that we now have this ShowLink Ease technology. This is our dedicated remote control protocol that we can use to remote control and manage all of our portables. So if you are familiar with Axion Digital, you might have used our ShowLink access point that we have for our high tier wireless. This is sort of a light version of that built specifically for SLXD Plus.
I think it's important to point out, right, that this might be a new feature if you're coming to SLXD Plus from BLX, SLX, SLXD, and this seems brand new and maybe a little risky, right? You're going to control my transmitter from the receiver or from a piece of software. Shure's been doing this for 10 years, 12
Absolutely.
years?
At least 10 years. We've had this ShowLink protocol running on our high tier wireless. And now we're taking that technology and kind of bringing it down the pyramid, down the lineup into more of our mid-tier with the SLXD Plus.
And where might people have been using ShowLink? Academy Awards live broadcast?
Everywhere.
Super Bowl?
The biggest shows in the world, all are using multiple ShowLink access points.
Right.
And it really provides a level of comfort in being able to remotely control and monitor your portables as they're out in the field and not have to go and grab a transmitter and resync it if you need to change a frequency.
Remotely control and monitor. As I was going to share this Workbench mobile app, haven't connected yet. Give me a moment.
I'm on the desktop version of Workbench.
Yep.
Now we've got wireless Workbench mobile.
Yep.
And so when I get an alert, so what is ShowLink going to tell me?
So ShowLink is going to give you, first of all, as far as remote control goes, it's going to give you remote control over your frequency, your gain, your name, all that kind of stuff that you can do on the transmitter. At the same time, it's going to provide alerts and warnings for interference that you may be detecting on a channel. So as I'm sure we're going to get to at some point, we have interference mitigation built in on our system. And as Brandon so graciously provided here, we now have wireless Workbench Mobile on our mobile devices. So on phone or tablet, you now have sort of a Workbench Lite on your tablet or on your phone that you can use to remotely control all of your devices over Bluetooth. So if I make a change on, say, this transmitter, if I pull up this transmitter and I want to change the frequency, it will make that change on the receiver over Bluetooth, and then it will send that change to the transmitter over the ShowLink Ease protocol, which is a BLE, a Bluetooth Low Energy protocol.
I was going to say, careful, because you grabbed our ULXD, so it's probably not going to change.
I am not actually going to make any changes here because knowing my fat fingers, I will accidentally change the wrong one. And all of a sudden we're off air. So I'm going to leave it as is. But the Workbench Mobile is great because I can Bluetooth control all of my rack devices that will then send any changes I make over ShowLink Ease to my portables. So once
and just to be clear, in that case, you mean your SLXD Plus rack devices can do the Bluetooth.
Exactly.
What we're seeing right now is because we happen to be using Wi-Fi, that's why we can also see our ULXD receiver.
Right.
But if we pulled our SLXD Plus off the Wi-Fi, we could get to them over Bluetooth.
Over Bluetooth, absolutely. Yeah. And I should clarify too, with the ShowLink Ease, that happens once you make that sync between transmitter and receiver. So you take your handheld transmitter, you sync it with the channel on the receiver, and now they're paired and tied together so that any change you make on the receiver will automatically be sent to that transmitter. Even if you power down and then you power back up and make a change, once you turn on that transmitter, it'll automatically grab that new frequency from the receiver.
So SLX was the original of the IR sync, and SLXD Plus is now pioneering another way of connecting and syncing in the same family.
There you go.
We're always working on new and exciting things. Sure, you know.
Jose, can you bring back up the mobile app just so he can show us a little bit more about the app?
Yeah, so
I got to tell you, I just love the green check mark. You know, there's just something comforting about opening an app, and it's just like, yeah, you're good.
Right.
Yeah.
So as you said, right now we're connected over Wi-Fi, so we can see more things like our ULXD and stuff like that. But if we were connected over Bluetooth, we'd just be seeing our SLXD Plus. But if I have all the parameters pulled up and enabled here, which I do, you can see that I've got the name, I've got the transmitter, I've got the name of the receiver that it's tied to, the frequency
battery
range.
information, hours and minutes.
You get all your battery telemetry, you get your frequency, your audio. So everything that you would need to see at a glance, you know, as you're operating the show is available right here in Workbench Mobile.
And so if we're looking, the handheld transmitter labeled Shure 1, that's got a Shure SB903 lithium ion. That's why I see 5 hours, 17 minutes, if my eyes are correct.
Yep.
Correct.
Brando, you got Shure 2 with double A's, right? So I still get some battery information, but kind of the standard 3-4 LED tick down.
Exactly. You're not going to get the same amount of data and battery telemetry that you would with the rechargeables, and that's why the rechargeables are really the way to go.
So Matt, let's pretend I'm just like really laying into this handheld transmitter, right? How could you make adjustments without getting back to me, the quote-unquote talent?
Sure. So I can just go in right here, and if you're really laying on the transmitter, you know, I can go in here, I can see all the information about the transmitter, but I can also go into the audio settings. I can change the output of the receiver if I needed to. And then I can also, stand by, hold on.
I also saw DFR in there for what you can enable DFR inside of there.
Exactly. So DFR is on there. I can turn the feedback reduction on and off. So if that transmitter is starting to, you know, fly because it's got some frequencies feeding back.
I'm wandering around stage a little bit where I shouldn't be.
Exactly. I can turn that feedback reduction on mobile from the mobile app, and then it will automatically send it to the transmitter. So it will enable that feedback reduction.
And with my mobile device, I've got to stay within about, 100 feet of the receiver to maintain this link?
Exactly.
Over Bluetooth?
Yeah, so the Bluetooth is going to have about 100-foot range. Now, if you lose that Bluetooth connectivity, you're not going to lose audio, right? Because your audio range is 300 feet plus with line of sight. So you're still going to be good there, but you could potentially lose Bluetooth. But as soon as you walk back within that 100-foot range, it will come right back on and reattach and resync, so you'll be good to go.
Excellent.
And of course, I'm looking at this same information, or I can be looking at this same information in the desktop version. We're both active at the same time. Is that correct?
Yes.
Jose, can we see desktop?
So we could be fighting each other, right? I could be going gain up, you could be going gain down, right? So that's something to be aware of, right?
Absolutely. And so I wouldn't necessarily hand out a whole fleet of mobile devices to people to be able to make changes on. But where it is really convenient is, if you've got a monitor guy who maybe is running your main instance of Workbench on a laptop at his monitor desk next to the rack that's tied in via Ethernet, you could give a mobile version to an A2 who needs to run around the stage, be able to check mics, monitor audio, things like that. Yeah. So he's not necessarily taking the lead on making any changes, but he's got some feedback there in front of him in case any issues come about.
He doesn't have to sit on top of the monitor either.
Exactly.
Really, new workflow we're talking about here. We're a couple of into SLXD plus.
Exactly.
Previously was Axion Digital ULXD were your first opportunities to have a Dante enabled system. Now I've got a ShowLink enabled, Dante enabled, controlled from a mobile device. None of that was possible a year ago.
Right. This is the wireless that wants to be left alone, right? Is sort of the tagline. So, for those instances, maybe you're at a school or a church where you have volunteers running your system. This is really kind of I don't want to say set it and forget it, but it takes minimal operation, right? You can set it up, get it synced, get it going, and as things change during your show, it can kind of run itself so that you're not worried so much about the operation of your system.
Now, there's a lot of existing SLXD out in the world.
Sure.
Great system. The good news is that I could start to build these hybrid SLXD, SLXD plus systems. What happens if I take an SLXD transmitter and sync to an SLXD plus receiver?
Sure. So, like you said before, they're fully backwards compatible, so you can absolutely, pass audio between them and all that kind of stuff. Now, you're going to be limited to whatever the frequency ranges of the smallest point in the chain. So if you've got a G50 handheld and a G57 receiver, you're going to be kind of limited to what the frequencies are of that handheld that you can select from. But it will absolutely sync. It will pass audio. It will work as expected. But you just need to keep in mind that you're only going to be able to use the channels that are available in the smallest band in that chain.
And the advanced features, DFR, audio summing. Now ShowLink. So what do I still get with an SLXD plus receiver, but what don't I get if I'm syncing an SLXD transmitter?
Right. So if you're syncing an old style transmitter, you're not going to get DFR. You're not going to get the ShowLink E's. And you're not going to get some of those newer features that you only get with the plus. Now,
ShowLink E's has to be on both sides.
It's got to be on both sides, right? It's a two-way communication over that BLE protocol, right?
It's interesting that the DFR is baked into the transmitter then, rather than the receiver?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's got to be able to pick up that sound and realize what's happening to it, right? Now, if you...
Before the RF leaves the transmitter.
Correct.
That signal processing is
now,
happening.
with the receiver, if you have a plus receiver, you'll still get Dante, right? If you have the quad, you're still going to get the loop outs. So in a lot of instances, you still get the full functionality of what's happening on the receive side. You just may lose some of that BLE and some of the stuff that you're getting with the plus.
It's just nice to know if I drop a transmitter or run it over, it falls off the truck, in SLXD world, if I'm purchasing a new SLXD plus transmitter, because that's what's available, I can use it with my existing SLXD receiver infrastructure.
Right.
That essentially is that's just all good news.
And if you have to get a new one, it's only going to be an upgrade, right? You're not downgrading in any way. So
be sure to update your firmware.
Yes.
Or it will not work. I've taken a few calls for that already.
Yeah, what you didn't see in the 2 minutes to 20 minutes before broadcast is a bunch of frantic firmware updating. And I do feel a little bit compelled to mention that this is not proper antenna distribution.
Yeah.
So this is, what do they call it?
Antenna farm.
Yeah.
We specifically tell you not to do what we're showing you today.
Yeah, we just didn't have a distro. So, This is SLXD Plus. We're very focused right now. I think probably at some point in our future is a broader discussion on Shure digital wireless, all the advanced features and workbench coordination, wave tool integration. But for now, Matt, this has been great. I feel like SLXD Plus is going to be a great platform for many, many years to come. I do wonder what the next one, if it's a plus plus or a, we'll let the marketing folks figure that SKU out.
Keep looking down here, and because it ends in a D, it says it's a D plus, and I figure an A plus would make us a lot happier.
But the D's for dual when it's...
Yeah, I know,
right.
it makes sense, but it just, when you look at it, D plus makes me think of high school.
That's what we'll do, Matt. We'll have you come back just to explain Shure part numbers. The quad is an SLXD 4Q plus.
And then DAN if it's the Dante version.
DAN.
Yeah.
Okay, 4 plus DAN. But
They all make sense, I promise.
Quick fun fact, because I've gotten this question quite a bit as well, is the body pack, which has been this way since SLXD, has got these rounded edges, and it feels a little different in your hand than the other body packs that we've had from ULXD and Axient and such. And this is a very thoughtful attempt of stopping you from catching on things as you walk past them. So as you walk past either your own clothing or a curtain or something, whatever you grab, instead of grabbing the pack and ripping it off your belt, it's actually supposed to just help it slide off. So if you wondered why they're a little roundish and a little eggish, it's intentional for an actual purpose, not just style.
Matt, I almost closed the show, but I'm seeing now right front and center the SLXD 5 Plus, the portable receiver. We spend so much time talking about all the cool stuff in the rack mount, but I know you're a fan of the portable receiver. What do we need to know about SLXD 5 Plus?
Right, so the 5 is, I think, kind of one of the unsung heroes of the line. It's kind of the secret weapon. I come from the broadcast world, location sound, ENG, those kind of spaces, and this is a really great tool for that. It is a single channel receiver, but it has a lot of the awesome features built into it that you see on our rack receivers in a portable format. So it's got that BLE ShowLink ease. It can be controlled via Bluetooth from your tablet or phone. It also has a multi-mic mode, so you can sync multiple transmitters to it on multiple frequencies and use it sort of like a party dial function that like you would get on some of your more advanced receivers. So
that example is right. Like I've got 3 or 4 or 5 people mic'd up, each with a lav and a body pack, and I want to listen in.
Correct.
Yeah.
As you can listen in at each one, or as different people come in and out of the set, come in and out of the scene, you can tune your receivers to the different channels just kind of at a quick, moment's notice, and pick up those different channels and route them into your mixer. So it just gives you a lot of flexibility beyond just the single channel of receive that's already there.
And again, not a new feature for Shure.
Right.
Like a lot of things we're talking about here are features that Shure are tried and true.
Right.
These are tested in Axient Digital, have been deployed on film sets and TV show productions,
Exactly.
and now we're just coming into the SLXD Plus for the first time in this portable receiver, having these things available.
Right, exactly. The features on this receiver are so advanced, especially for the price point. The value that you get is amazing. The fact that it has a line level balanced output and also a headphone out on it, so you can use it as a camera hop, you can use it as a bag receiver, you can use it as an IFB receiver for producers or talent, things like that. The buttons on the front can be configured to do different things, so you can use the arrows as volume knobs and things like that. So a lot of really, really cool functionality built into this receiver.
Also noticing from a hardware perspective, we get a belt clip. Mm-hmm. We've got the threaded mount, so it can go right on top of a camera shoe.
Yep, absolutely.
And then the USB-C, I'm guessing, on the bottom is in addition to being able to update it and such, it's also extended power?
It is, yes. So you can power it via USB-C, or it's for your firmware updates and things like that.
Awesome.
One little secret about this too that I've seen a few people do is guitar wireless. So they'll pop that clip off, Velcro it to their pedal board, flip the antennas up, and now you got a really small, portable little guitar wireless rig that fits right on your pedal board.
Right. And so that's a great point. We've got the GLXD 16, the guitar pedal receiver. That's a 2.4 system.
Correct.
And that might work well,
right.
Depending on what your needs are. But if you want to get out of 2.4 and into a wide tuning UHF system that can go anywhere, right. Coexist with multiple UHF carriers, now you've got an
Exactly. You can frequency coordinate for this. This is going to be a little bit more of a professional option, right? You can frequency coordinate where, as you couldn't with the 2.4 and the 5 gig options. It's also going to have lower latency. We didn't talk about that, but with the Plus, we actually brought the latency down from about 3.2 to 2.8 milliseconds. So you're going to have lower latency with this than you would on some of the GLX stuff as well.
I think it's important for us as drummers, Brandon, to remember that there are guitar players in the world, and they need quality Shure equipment as well.
Guitar players are people too, guys. So.
Matt, thanks again. If there are any questions that anyone has that didn't get answered here, please comment in the video below. I'm sure we're going to be talking to Matt at some point down the road. We very much appreciate it. Thank you for coming on Geer Talk.
You bet.
Talking gear.
And
Happy to be here.
We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thanks.